I know too.
You picked me or I picked you?
I'm not sure.
Me too, yeah. I think it was both sides.
So at first it's very awkward a little bit because we stay in silence and we don't know how to pair up. And then
Alessio asked to everyone what is the meaning of wall for everyone. And Monica said something like, for me, what did you say?
The children have to be in the wall that the parents and the school make it. So they like everyone follow the rules and be all the same.
It was actually like very quick when we start doing the pairing, and Estella was looking at me and I was looking at her, and we were like, okay, yeah, let's pair.
Because of her presentation, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I think that we have the same vibe and it's gonna be a good cooperation together.
It was quite awkward now. Yeah, like we were like sitting in a room. There was already like two pair was being paired, and then we just started like looking at each other, and they were like, "Do you want to go with me?"
I think I mentioned double exposure, and I think she kind of liked the idea. We kind of connect each other quite well.
When we talk or when we are together, I don't think about our difference in age.
I saw his photo book and I really liked that. We talked a bit about the concept, what our thoughts are on the project, and then I feel like we could get along with that.
The wall for me is mean protection, can be fear or unknown. So like I try to take a photo of that word.
We have different perspective on what the wall is or what the wall could be. For me, the wall is more like a layer that doesn't let us see what is behind, doesn't let us understand or recognize what is beyond. So the main point of the project was making a kind of encounter of these two positions and make it work together in a kind of psychological trip, which is really abstract in a way because it's really open to interpretations. You can go with it and understand it as a political thing or a psychological thing or a more poetic thing. So it's really open to interpretation, and that's a good point, I think.
So it's a project we make in Thai school about the uniform, the rule in the school, and how you can express yourself when you all wear the same clothes and things like this.
After we like know them, we can see clearly that they are not the same. It's like behind the wall.
I learned about the student in school, and Monica explained me a lot of things about the school system and the education in Thailand. We shoot all the project with film. I have a Mamiya.
I use Yashikai.
We take the photo at the same time and we explore the school at the same time together, but we don't take the same photo.
It's like we want to try to tell the story that on the first, on top, it will be like the student that in the wall. Yeah. And the below, on the down, it will be like the student that behind the wall.
We have two different ideas. The one that came from my part was that we went to abandoned places. I was interested in seeing architecture, especially abandoned architecture. And thanks to Khan, she knows a lot and showed me around.
And so for my ideas, I like the colorful nightlife. So I picked this location, Asok and Nana, and I did some shots there. And I think it would be good contrast with the architect building.
Lately I was more focused on your own work and to work alone, and of course it's always that you learn something new or again if you could collaborate. So for me it was very important that it's balanced, that we have an equal level. This is very important. So I tried that in our project, and I hope so that both of our ideas came up and are displayed in a good way.
For me, I learned to work with Birgit, and I did learn a lot from her because she has a lot of experience. And another thing is, I also try to face my own fear by taking a photo of strangers with like flash on. Sometimes I'm scared that they might just like come behind me and attack me, but this time it's different.
We wanted to focus on the wall as a divide of social classes, so we decided to visit like the slums and markets of Bangkok, which was
Talat Noi and Klong Tơi market.
I noticed as I was walking around these places, they used the wall as a function of communication quite a lot, so they'd plaster like posters and photographs on the walls, so we wanted to replicate that in our presentation.
So we've been like shooting with digital camera, and after that we decided to print it as like cyanotype instead of like doing a normal like digital prints.
Our work is an installation, so we've used metal sourced from one of the markets, pasted our cyanotypes upon that to kind of mimic what we've been seeing in the streets. And it's a low-cost photographic printing process as well, which we kind of felt fit in with the project rather than printing digital images.
It's my first time working with like a foreigner, and I actually took her to places that I've never been in Thailand before. And I'm quite a really shy person, and I think it's really a new experience for me to starting to get to talk to other people and getting new knowledge from them.
I've learned a lot that I'm going to take back with me and develop my practice even more, and I feel like now I've got these connections in Bangkok, like I just can't wait to come back here, make more work and continue.
For some point, some reason people decide to live in Bangkok. It doesn't matter where they work, what they do, they all decided to live and to do something in Bangkok.
As Estela said, everybody's living here, so I think there's kind of like no wall and like no like fence between us. When we decided that we are gonna like shoot the photo of people, at first I thought that it's gonna be like easy, just like go and ask them to take a photo of them, but it's not that easy. Like the first time I was very nervous, but a couple of days passed by, I clearly feel that I am more confident and I am more comfortable to go to people. And I mean, it's not that scary. Most people actually let us do the shooting.
I for sure crossed some bridge, some line, because it wasn't easy at the beginning to go to the people and ask them, hi, can I take a picture of you? So it was something hard for me at the beginning.
Like first we like read the vibe, if we can approach them or not, because like some of them is like busy doing their stuff.
Also, we're looking for some differences in
like
age.
varieties and diversities. I have a camera and she has a camera also, but yeah, mostly Estela do the shooting and I will like collect all the information of the people.
Because for us also informations are important about them. But yeah, I can say that it was like 50-50 of working. Sometimes Frank took the picture, sometimes me.
I have been living in Bangkok my whole life, but going with her is like the Bangkok that I didn't know before.
And I think that I'm gonna miss it, and probably I will continue this project wherever I go. I hope so.
We were trying to work on something that was not a physical wall, so we wanted to talk about territory and the idea of what is actually my territory. Is it what I can see or what I can step on?
We just went out and take our own pictures. I kind of let him do his own thing because I really wanted to see his part of work as just himself. And then it would be interesting to see the way we put it, the way we actually end up putting it together on the same very thin fabric, so that the picture almost collided and you cannot really tell whose picture is whose.
The idea was for the picture to not have 2D dimension, so the spectator could actually trespass the fabric, and we thought about doing this installation in the gallery as a site-specific installation. So the final prints are in fabric, almost transparent, and there's actually a direction that points to from the inside out to the door that the gallery has to the balcony.
So I just had this idea that since we're working together, I think like it would be interesting for us to go out, taking a bunch of pictures in the same location. But the way I see the places we went is as a local, and he's as a tourist, as a foreigner,
As an alien.
as a parang.
As a farang.
Yes, and I really don't want that to disappear by saying what you should be looking at or like that. So I just gave him full decision to himself, and me as well. He don't get to say anything, and we came up with some really interesting stuff.
When I arrived, I was thinking about to describe Bangkok as a landscape that tell you story. So when we met, I saw her projects. I saw that she loved to describe people. She loved to describe stories. She loved to describe how they living. When I arrived here, one of the first things that I've seen was the river, the Chao Phraya. And I think to the river as a vital entity for Bangkok, because it divides Bangkok into half, and it is vitality for the life of Bangkok and for the people, because by it depend everything, the transport, the biodiversity, for the nature, and so wall and beyond. I think about the river as a wall, as a blue wall.
Basically showed the portrait of the people who live nearby the river. Is there something different from the people who live in the building in the center of Bangkok? The area near the river, the status is quite different, so people totally different in the life. I take most of the people at Talat Noi, and there's a lot of people who don't have home. I learned a lot of things about the camera, the print. Mostly it's my first time to do exhibition and really serious photography like this. So he teach me many things, many techniques. So thank you so much about that.
I think we both noticed that our style of how we take photos are very different. But then we had a long conversation. During the days we talked a lot about not the project but a lot of things, and we find that we have more in common that we thought, I think.
Yeah, for me, when we go to the same place, mostly I look at the whole thing really wide, but then he will go very close.
Yeah, I like to use the camera with a finger and point on certain things. And number one, because she's grown up here, she got a more distant overview kind of look. The exhibition looked like there's golden frames with the pictures I took, and more in the room hanging from the ceiling are transparent paper printed pictures of her, so you can see through her pictures to mine, and also have to look a bit around to discover the layer that's in the back.
Yeah, so I think I changed the way of how I look at photography, because at first I'm thinking about which style that I like and I want to explore, but now I'm thinking about the story that I want to tell.